here. Thankful that God, saved my soul. And just glad to be a Christian, just glad to be a Christian. And I'm just thankful for Pastor Barker, man, he's such an asset, such a wonderful, abundance of knowledge. Even with my message, I always have to go to him just to fill in the little blanks and stuff, if I'm not sure. He just, I feel so much more secure when I know he knows, the right answer, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm glad that I can always can go to you. Appreciate that. And also, I'm just thankful for the testimony. I'm thankful for Brother Johnny's testimony, because it's the strangest thing when you start talking about how beautiful the sky was and the clouds were. As I was coming up over Willow Pass, I was just like, wow, I've never seen clouds shaped that way before. I guess every cloud is probably different, but it was just so much different, more than I've ever noticed. They just were so different, but it was so beautiful. And I was just admiring God's handiwork, how they're new every morning, how the sun comes up, and the sun sets, But it was just, for some reason, just extra beautiful today. It was just different. And then when you mentioned that, it's just, wow, clicked. And like I said, I'm so thankful for your testimony, because it gave me confirmation to my message. When you're talking about your medical problems, with the colonoscopy and the cancer check, and I know you have to be in good health with blood pressure and stuff to drive a truck. I was going through the same thing a while back. I had a cancer scare also. My white blood cells were high. And like I said, I've been hit with this lupus about 3 years. I was doing okay for a while. And then since October, the doctor said the lupus is getting stronger, starting to break through the medication. And it got worse and worse. And they call it flare-ups when it's attacking you. And I told my doctor, I said, a flare-up is something occasionally. Well, this has been happening daily since October. I'll wake up, and then by 4 or 5 o'clock, my hands, my feet, they feel like they're crushed. I feel like I ran a marathon. But but actually a couple weeks back, I ran into something that was potentially more devastating than my lupus. I told Pastor Robert, man, this is a huge mountain I'm facing. And just like how you testified, don't matter what you have to go through, you're giving God the glory. With this mountain, I had to face that was, to me, greater than my lupus. God told me beforehand, I still doubt, but he said, it doesn't matter, Lance, what you see. It doesn't matter what you hear. It doesn't matter what's surrounding you. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Because, God's not affected by our circumstances. We are at times, but he's not limited by our circumstances. So I'm really thankful for your testimony, because it just confirms the message that the Lord gave me. And it's just the strangest thing that I guess I've been going through, the last 2 months. I preached about God is love, why aren't we? And then I preached about God's refinement, which I thought was a conclusion, but it wasn't. I guess God's just trying to, God's not going to show you something halfway and not conclude it. He was teaching me something, showing me something. So pretty much this is just a little recap of the last 3 messages, or last 2 messages that I preached, and then I guess it's the ending, unless I don't learn my lesson. but God is good. God is so good. I'm just so thankful. Pastor Parker, can you pray?
Father, we ask you tonight to anoint the hands in a great way. Anoint the word that comes forth, and anoint our heart, our mind, our spirit, to receive your word and your instruction, and to draw closer, nearer to you through the ministry of your word. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Lord. Sometimes when we're talking to our kids or friends or family, we get all long and drawn out and elaborate. Sometimes you just get to the point where you get frustrated and you just lay it out for them, simple, where they can understand it. And, hey, this is how it is. So this is pretty much a simple message. It's just God just pretty much just laid it out to me. Hey, this is how it is. It's not some big fancy message. And like I said before, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. It was easy to see who this message was for. All I had to do was look in the mirror. And then I mentioned, if you can't look in the mirror, though, this message will do you no good, But it's something that I was going through, and if it can help you, I pray that it does. You know, this last Sunday I was talking to a brother, and we were talking, and he came to me and said, "No, Brother Lance, you know, I'm going through these things, you know. I can't believe I feel this way. I can't believe my attitude's that way." And I looked at him, I said, "You know what? I go through the same problem. I'm going through the same thing right now." And he was shocked. You know, I could have been fake. I could say, "Oh my gosh, geez, you know, how could you do that?" No, but by me being real with him, by me letting him know, hey, I'm human too. I go through the same thing. You know, we both came out better for it, and we felt clean and forgiven. Like I said, it was no big sin. It could just be a wrong thought or something you're harboring in your heart, you know. But we came out of it with a clear understanding. I did too. You know, we both were better off for it, you know, and I just thank God for that. You know, like it says, confess your sins to one another. Don't go blabbing your problems just to anybody, because some people will just run it all over. I mean, someone you can trust and confide in and keep each other accountable. That's kind of what it was, you know. And we were talking, and he said, you know, I'd like to go to lunch or maybe meet up and just be able to talk. You know, you always need someone to bounce things off of, because, you know, he was keeping everything pinned up. And I said, well, I feel the same way. I've been going through that, you know. And he was just shocked, you know. But like I told him, I said, well, I go, when you go to work, I said, you don't just come home and eat and go to bed. I go, you know, he's a construction worker. I go, you're dirty. You're filthy from rubbing elbows with the world. Maybe a little dirt gets on you. You got to get clean. You got to get cleaned up. I said, but you're going to go to work again, and you're probably going to get dirty again. I'm not saying sin, but man, someone comes up and punches you in the nose, you're going to be upset. You got to deal with it. If I call, hey, you're the worst person I've ever known, and geez, how could you do that? You're disgusting. You got feelings. You're human. When you get cut, you bleed. You know, and you're going to have those emotions and those feelings. You got to get rid of them, even if you're justified to let the other person have it or not. You know, like Pastor Barker told me years and years ago. You know, if you're angry or upset or bitter at someone, they can care less. You know, you're the one that's your own prisoner. Your own prisoner. You're the one prisoner by it. You know, so just recapping my last two messages from the last 2 months. You know, it started out as God is love, why aren't we? And I explained how, you know, God loves everyone. Like Sister Beverly said, you know, God died on the cross. He died for us before we were even born. You know, He died on the cross that all mankind might be saved. You know, the world wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. You know, we're not going to die for someone we don't even know. Well, except, you know, the men that serve this country do that. You know, like I said, God is love. Why aren't we? You know, God doesn't categorize people, lower class, middle class, upper class, you know, but kids do that from kindergarten. You know, the popular ones, the athletic ones, you know, you're not good enough, you're not rich enough, you're not popular enough to hang around with me, all the way up to the work world. That goes, but God doesn't do that. You know, the sad thing is the world does that, and sad to say, us as Christians do that at times, or have done that at times, you know, and it's just sad to say, you know. Like I said, if a lot of times we choose our friends, they have to live up to our standards. But wow, if God had to do that, this church would be empty. There would be no one worthy enough to come in here. You know, just like I said, when the priest went into the Holy of Holies, they tied a rope around his ankle. And if he had any sin in his life, any sin at all, he would drop dead. Like I said, if that was the case today, the way we harbor anger, hatred, bitterness, there'd be a bunch of hearse and ambulance out there, because we would all drop dead. You know, we need to get our heart right, our mind right, you know, first. You know, and we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God. Whether we're walking close to God or not, there's still sin that creeps in there. Yeah. You know, on Sunday, Pastor Marker started talking in tongues, and it always, when I interpret, always thought comes in first. Thinking of the thought. It's like, Lord, I don't want it to be me. I don't want to just say anything. Then it'll start boiling in my stomach, boiling in my gut. Then I'll start talking in tongues, and then it'll come out. And then the interpretation came out. And, you know, I've been with God since the beginning. I am the Alpha, the Omega. You know, keep your eyes on me, and I'll usher you into the kingdom of heaven. All things shall pass away. You know, there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. And the reason why I came down and fell on my face, you know, I was thinking after, it's like, well, people must think, whoa, he's so close to God, he's walking right with God. No, I went and fell on my face because I'm unworthy. I said, Lord, why did you pick me? You could have picked someone else that's more qualified, that's walking closer to you, that's not dealing with these issues. Lord, you know I'm still dealing with this little bitterness, this little anger that I have to work out. That's why I fell on my face, because I am not worthy. None of us are worthy. But then it made me realize, if I was walking closest I've ever walked to God, and even if I just had one little sin, it still wouldn't be worthy. You know, we're still not worthy. If we ever get to the point where we think we arrived and it's my duty, it's my honor, it's my place to testify and prophesy, whoa. Yes. Woe unto us. You know, we have to fear the Lord. Yeah. You know, like I fell on my face not to draw attention, but it's just out of fear of God. Because, you know, I know, just like when we take communion, there's things we have to get out of our heart, things we have to get right with God. And it just, it shook me. It shook me up. It really shook me up. But, you know, God is love. You know, that was 2 months ago. God is love. Why aren't we? You know, if we could just love a fraction the way God loves, you know, we'd be so much better off. Turn with me to 1 John chapter 4, verse 8. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. Now, if we don't love our neighbor, if we don't love our enemies, if we don't love our family, he says we don't know God. Well, I mean, I know God. Everybody knows it. We don't know God the way we're supposed to know God. You know, we don't have Him in our heart like we're supposed to. Like Sister Beverly said, if you have enough God in you, that hate can't stay in there. Just like that, like I said, you get a gallon jug, you know, and you have sin in it, and half sin, half God. If you keep pouring God, it's going to wash the sin out. But if you keep pouring the hatred, anger, bitterness, that's all that's going to be in there. You know, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. It's like, yeah, it's just like they could say, I know this famous actor. I know of him, but I don't know him. You know, you can know of God, but do you really know Him? Is He really living through you? Is He shining through you? When you talk to people, do they see you, or do they see God living through you? Just like I said, I thought I had cancer. And I told my buddy, I said, you know, if I really do have cancer, in the end, all I want them to see is God through me, not me. You know, because ashes to ashes, dust to dust, everything is going to pass away, but the only thing that's going to stand is God's word. Turn with me to 1 John chapter 4, verse 20-21. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he has loveth not his brother whom he has seen. How can he love God whom he has not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God loveth his brother. So if we love God, we have to love one another. And I know people have hurt us, people have done us wrong. And I'll get to it later. Like I said, I was just preaching to myself. I was dealing with some anger and some bitterness, you know, and I finally got deliverance from it. God didn't change the person that I had anger and bitterness toward. I still kind of think maybe they seem unconcerned or unappreciative or kind of rude to me at times, but you know, God can change me. God can change you. God might not always change the heart of your enemy, but He can change the way you view things, and He can still give you love for them and pray for them. You know? And in time, He can change them. You know, like I said, I was dealing with this angerness and bitterness, and this was the following one. I preached about, you know, dealing with it and how we need to let God refine us. Turn with me to Matthew chapter 5, verse 23-24. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother has aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way first, be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. You know, those verses go back to the original one. You know, the first ones that I read, saying, you know, if you say you know God and love not, you don't know God. You know, it's like it says, we can't just block out any anger, hatred, or bitterness, or conflict that we have with the brothers. We can't let it fester. We can't just push it off and come down to the altar like everything's okay, and that's just the way things are. They've been that way for years. You know, you have to. God doesn't want it. He doesn't want your, I don't know, what would you call it, half-hearted praise? You know, He wants you to lay it down at His feet and get it right. And get it right. Like I said, I was dealing with this anger, bitterness towards a person where I even mentioned it to you guys, like, wow, if I can't get this out of my heart, I'm not going to be up here preaching. You know, I just couldn't do it. But for the strangest reason, I guess for admitting it to everybody on the way home, I just broke down and started crying. I said, Lord, I don't want this anger. I don't want this hatred. I don't want this bitterness. You know, I finally just gave it to Him. And the Lord just told me, just tell that person you love them. Just tell that person, even though you might not love them wholeheartedly, but start to tell them you love them. Start to plant that seed, and it'll grow. It'll grow. That love will grow. He said, just tell them you love them. Just tell me. It's like, you know, I thought I had it under control during the first message when I said, God is love, why aren't we? Why aren't we? But then I goes, wow, it's still there. It's still there. And that's where the message came about, the refinement. You know, like when you turn up the heat and you're recycling something, all the garbage, all the waste comes at the top, and you skim it off and get rid of it. But what I was doing was just letting things calm down. So just like the sediment, it all went to the bottom. But I wasn't clean, my heart wasn't clean, my spirit wasn't right. As soon as that person got in front of me, as soon as that person started agitating me, as soon as that person started doing something to someone else that reminded me what he used to do to me, it all boiled back up again. So it was just rising up to the top when the heat was turned up. You know, but the heat's turned up, it's an ugly thing when the heat's turned up and we see all our faults. But that could be a blessing, because once it's there, give it to God. Give it to God. Give it to Him and let Him take care of it. You know, give it to God. So the refining process is a very important process. You know, we need to renew ourselves daily. It's not once saved, always saved. You know, like I said, I mentioned, you can't just take a shower and you're good for the month, or wash your car, expect it to be clean all month. You know, we need to let God refine us, renew us. Because we've all fell short, you know, and we've also fell short. And like I said, unsaved, even saved. You know, if anyone here could tell me you never had a problem while you were saved with anger or bitterness towards someone, I hate to say it, but I'd say you're not being truthful. I'd say you're not being truthful. You know, it's going to pop up, but I was talking to my cousin about a message earlier. He says, yeah, it does pop up, but what do we do with it after we identify it? Do we let it settle back down? You know, do we hide it in the corner of our hearts? Or do we give it to God? You know, for us to enter into God's gates with thanksgiving in our hearts and worship and praise in our heart, you know, we need to love. Like it says, if we don't love our brother that we've seen, how can we love God with the whole heart? You know, and then when I was preaching, I was ready to just stop preaching. You know, I just like, wow, I can't get over this. But me and Jim were in the back, and after my message, because we had to take up the offering, and I go, man, I forgot a verse. I didn't know what verse it was. And it was Psalms 51:10. And you know, it was amazing. That little verse that I forgot was the little spark, the little fire that stirred up another message in me, that allowed me to keep, that gave me a hunger. I said, oh, I missed that verse, and that tied everything together. It tied everything together, you know, and that gave me the burning desire. Like, Lord, rekindled the fire in me. You know, but it had to start with me going on the way home and saying, Lord, I don't want this. I don't want to be bound by this anger, this hatred, this bitterness. You know, and like I said, I was so frustrated that I battled it that long, you know. But this is the verse that rekindled that fire in me right here. It's let me see. Turn with me to Psalms 51, verse 10 and 11. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Just like I asked Pastor, I said, who wrote that? Who wrote that, Pastor? And he told me David wrote that. It's like I said, if anyone says they haven't dealt with anger or hatred or sin in their heart, like I said, I don't believe they're being truthful. This David wrote in the Bible, and he's saying he didn't have a clean heart. He didn't have a right spirit. Lord, forgive me. Renew a right spirit within me. So, because he knows the danger of not having a right heart, not having a right spirit. You're not going to draw closer to God. You're going to draw farther away. And if you continue that way, God will just cast you out. He'll cast you. God's not going to play games. God's not going to be made a fool of. But that verse right there, like on the way home, that's what stirred that fire back in me. I don't know what it was. I was just finally able to just give it to the Lord. I guess because not just wanting to, I just didn't want it. It was just like a disease, a sickness on me. I didn't want it. It reminded me when I was hooked on drugs. For the last 3 years of my life when I was hooked on drugs, I wasn't going to church, I wasn't saved, but I'd get down on my knees with the Lord. I don't like what this is doing to me anymore. I can't stand this. I don't want to do this. I don't know why I can't stop. I don't have the strength though, but when He delivered me from this, deliver me from this, And I just thank God one day He finally did. But that verses is so precious, those verses, Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Because, I don't know what the verse is in here. Like I said, I'm not a Bible scholar. I just give out what the Lord puts in me. But like I said, there's no good in us. It's just God that's in us that's good. The works of the flesh is adultery, slander, pride, selfishness. But when we have God in us, that's what changes us. God is so good. If we think we're so good, like I said, just look back before we knew God. I know what I was like before I knew God. I was full of myself. I was just full of myself. When you give your heart to God, it's all about God and not us. It's about others, not looking for our own personal gain. Even in my kindness, as a sinner, I would do it to set up things for me. It looked like I was being kind, but I'm going to call that favor in on you one of these days. Better be there after, because I did this, and this for you. There's no good. There was no good without God. Without God. Turn with me to Colossians chapter 3:13. Like I said, God is love. So why aren't we, If we say we love God, we have to love others. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against thee, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. Like I said, it's pretty sad when you look at it sometimes. Geez, how many times have you think you felt God in your lifetime? I have over hundreds of times. Slipped and fell and scraped my knees. And I so desperately cried out to God for forgiveness. But sometimes it's so hard for us to forgive others. It's just like, you crossed me one time. You're not my friend anymore. But wow, if God did that to me, I guess I would have been out years ago. Years ago. Some are little sins, some are big sins, but sometimes someone can do the littlest thing to us and we can't forgive them.
Yeah.
We can't forgive them. I've had a hard time doing that too. And it's frustrating. Pastor Robert finally preached that message about be angry and sin not. I was like, I was so proud of myself. I finally did it. I did it. This person paid him $100 to do some work for me. Can I have an advance? Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. Wow. Didn't show up for a month. No. Called him 30, 40 times. They returned my calls. Called his girlfriend. Well, I guess you didn't give him the message. So I'm just stewing. It's like, wow, I'm not going to stew. I said, well, I'll call him. Well, I know you said you're busy. It's okay. But I just like to let me know when you can finish this job. No answer, no call. So I was like, I call again. I told you I'm not upset. But at least give me some kind of answer. My yard is just overgrowing. I got to have someone do it. Somebody. Still no call. So I said, well, instead of stewing, I better just hire a gardener, have someone do it, have someone do it. And then the person finally called me, and I said, hey, manager, I ain't upset, but I had to do what I had to do. You never let me know. I just had to get it done. If you would have just told me, I would have understood. And I felt like I let a mountain of indiscretions go by. And he held me, hang me by a noose from this little tiny misunderstanding on his part. And then I felt my flesh starting to rise up. I was like, really? I just let the whole slew of indiscretions go by, and you're going to try to hold that against me? We worked it out. It ended up me saying just, hey, keep the money, do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. I said, I'm just not going to deal with this anymore. But even when you try to take the high road, it's still hard. It's still tough. But God is good. But through this whole thing, like I said, I thought this message was done last month, with the God is love, and I thought it was just about the anger and bitterness I had. And then I became frustrated because the battle took so long. And then I mentioned it, just like a boxer, he could be getting pummeled for 12 rounds, but like I said, as long as you got a puncher's chance, sometimes if you hang in there, you end up getting the victory, And the thing is, there's victory in Jesus, but you can't give up. And if I would have just gave up and said, well, I'm not going to preach no more, I just can't stand these people, I'm bitter, I'm angry, that's just the way it is, they're never going to change, I would have been held captive. And my bitterness and anger would have just swallowed me up. And it wouldn't have ended there. My Christian walk, it would have just declined and declined and declined. Because, like you said, that cyst you got on you, they got to go in there and get it, or it will get bigger. Like the cancer can start out small, but if we don't get it operated on, if you don't let the Lord take the sin out, it's just going to grow and grow and grow like a cancer. But that's why, there's victory in Jesus, And then the Lord, I guess it took 3 months to get me to this point. It just made me realize I was so frustrated with the battle, but without a battle, there could be no victory. There cannot be no victory without a battle. So we're going to go through some battles, and some battles are going to take longer than others. So don't ever get discouraged. Don't ever get discouraged, because there's victory in Jesus. We just have to trust Him and follow Him. I think of some examples in the Bible, people that had battles that didn't give up. You can picture in your mind, I won't go through it all, but you can just picture in your mind if they did give up, the consequences, and it would have rewrote history. But just think about the woman with the issue of blood. She spent all her money and seen every physician there was, and it would have been easier for just to give up. But then she seen Jesus, and she knew if she just reached out and touched the hem of His garment, that she'd be healed. Yes, sometimes we take every other avenue to figure out our problem when we should just go to Jesus first. Even though we go to Jesus first and lay our problem at His feet, it still might take some time. Some things you might not even get delivered of, but God will give you the strength to endure it. And in the end, we're going to come out victorious anyway. I think about Zacchaeus. He climbed up the tree to get a better view of God. But I don't just think of him climbing up the tree to see God. We have to put ourselves in a better position to see God. If it means, getting rid of that hatred, that bitterness, getting rid of that habit, maybe what we're seeing, what we're doing, who we're hanging around with. Get yourself in a better position to see God. And a lot of times that takes cutting away, sacrificing, laying things down. For we can get to a higher place, a better position, a better viewpoint to see God. If there's no battle, there's no victory. There's no great example. There's no story to tell. There's nothing to pass on. There's no hope to pass on. There's no encouragement to pass on. But that's where you get the encouragement. That's where you get the hope. But that's where you get I don't know how the word to say, but, well, if they did it, I could do it. If God did it for them, he'll do it for me. Just like Moses, when he came up to the Red Sea. While he's facing the Red Sea, and Pharaoh's army is marching right behind him. He could have just said, forget it. What if his attitude was like that? Oh, forget it, just slay us right here. We can't outrun you. But he still trusted in God. He smote the waters with the staff. And God made a way. God will always make a way where there seems no way. That's where it says, it doesn't matter. That's what, like when he told me, it don't matter that's what you see. It don't matter what you hear. It doesn't matter what your surroundings are. Everything's going to be okay. So, when God led Moses and his people, he just throw them out there blindly, giving them bad directions. But if Moses would have looked at it in his carnal mind, Lord, what did you do to me? I might as well just stay here and die. He didn't do that. He knew the God he was serving. He knew God would make a way for him. And he did. God will perform the impossible. God's not limited by our circumstances. We are sometimes. And that's what will defeat us, if we allow our circumstances to defeat us. I think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, how they stood up for their faith. And some people say, oh, well, geez, that's admirable, but you're going to burn up. You're going to die for you. But they didn't care. They still stood up for what they believe in, and God delivered them. And even they said, even if God doesn't deliver us, we're still not going to bow to your God. With no battle, there can be no victory. We have to be willing to go through the battle. Gideon, he had thousands and thousands of men. And he was still overmatched, but I know he was ready to go into battle. He was ready to go into battle and fight. But, God told him, only 300. I don't know how his mindset was, but I know I would be like, I don't feel so confident now. But like I said, let God be God, and he'll do mighty things. He'll do great things. And you'll see that it's not us, it's not you, it's not me, it's God working through us. We're just tools, we're just instruments, we're just vessels. Like I said, remember, God isn't limited by our circumstances. At times we are. If we just let God be God, God will do mighty things. I think about Pastor Robert. He's mentioned a couple times, his life story, how he was in church and backslid, and how it came to that point where you were in that little camper shell. I can't take credit for that. I was just a tool that God used. I'm thankful that God used me. I was praying for him. I was looking for him. I was trying to convince. I was trying everything I could, but God showed me one time. I was trying so hard. I even seen a vision where Pastor Robert sinking in quicksand, and I had him by the hair, and I'm trying to pull him out as hard as I can. But that symbolized, that's how I was praying, how I was trying to seek him out, how I was trying to find him, I was trying to tell him to turn his life around. And I was pulling. And this gigantic hand was God's hand. He came and knocked me out of the way. And his hand was just right there towards Brother Robert. So like I said, he could use any one of us to help position somebody in a place to accept God, but it's up to that person to reach out and grab God. God just uses us to position people. And thank God, Brother Robert, he didn't grab my hand. He grabbed God's hand, and God pulled him out. Just like he pulled me out of the wilderness when I was ODing at work and going to die. And the Lord spoke to my heart and said, what about the drugs? What about the alcohol? What about the filthy money? And I could have, but I was holding on to it so tight. I didn't want to let it go. But then when I finally laid it down at God's feet, it's like God, he pulled the blindness off my eyes. And I was just so ashamed. And everything that I put on a pedestal and had at such high regard, it was just all filth. It was all garbage. Yes. That's what I mean. There's no good in us. When God came into my heart and came into my life, everything that I loved, the drugs, the alcohol, the dirty money, I now hate it. Everything that I hated, the goody two-shoes, the church, the Christians, I loved. They were my brothers and sisters. They were my family. Yeah. God was my comforter. God is so good. Like I told my kids, it kind of blew their mind. And, little kids, they all love Superman, Batman, whoever. They ask me, Dad, who's your hero? When they're little. And I said, Jesus. Oh, Jesus? I go, yeah, he saved me from myself. I go, on the road to destruction, you know. So I ended up, we got to the point where I was driving home. I don't know how I got home, blacking out. There's some places where I shouldn't have been, dealing with people I shouldn't have been, you know. But God is so good. God is so good. And through this whole thing, through the last 3 months, you know, guys have shown me God is love. You know, God is love, Lance. Love others. You know, let me refine you. You know, things are going to come up. You know, even though you don't feel right when people rub you the wrong way, don't let it just settle back down. Don't let it just go back down, because it's going to come back up. Let me renew you. Let me shape you. Let me mold you. I'm the potter. You're the clay. You know, let me mold you. Let me make you. You know, but then, like I said, I was so down on myself for the battle. But then he just told me, he said, Lance, with no battle, there could be no victory. And maybe one day I could share that with someone else, just like Sunday. You know, I was sharing with the brother confided in me and just said, well, I'm having problems with this, that, and this, and I feel this way. It's like, I'm going through the same thing. You know, it's like, wow. And by the time we came, you know, we talked and stuff, and after church, I said, you know what? I feel completely better, because I feel good, I feel forgiven. I said, yeah, I go, that's the spirit in the flesh. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I said, anytime you have something wrong in you, it just clashes. It clashes with the spirit. That's our flesh, our pride, not wanting to lay it down, wanting to be justified. You know, wanting to say, I told you so, or you're wrong. I said, sometimes you just have to give it to God. He goes, yeah, I know. He goes, it just, none of that even matters now. I said, I know, I feel clean now too. And then he said, well, maybe tomorrow might be different. I said, yeah, it might, but you just have to keep renewing yourself. Just keep giving it to God. Keep giving it to God. Because as long as we're walking on this earth, we have to deal with people, some kind, some unkind. You know, and whether you like it, I cut you, you cut me, I'm going to bleed. It hurts. You know, and when harsh words are said, like Pastor Barker always says, you can't ring a bell. You know, but, you know, and some are scars, some are wounds, but we still have to just give it to God. And thank you for your time. That's all I have tonight. And I just thank God, because God is so